Teachers of Reddit, what is the smartest, most creative way of cheating that you've seen? In a lot of my college courses I wasn't allowed to use anything higher than a TI 84 inches. So I took the guts of my TI 89 and swapped it into my TI 84 inches. Never got caught. Oh shocks, that's the way to do it. We were supposed to have TI 83 plus for our exams, but the exam supervisors didn't know or care, and I used my TI 89 all the time. You could upload whole texts into the TI 89 with your PC. Not sure if this would work anymore, but if I had a paper to write on a book I didn't read, I would find a well-written paper online, then translate the entire thing from English to German, German to French, French to Spanish, then Spanish back to English, pull the original paper and the new one up side by side and clean up the grammar on the new paper, and you've got the same concept, but written just different enough to not be plagiarism. Worked like a charm. Being bilingual has saved my ass a few times. Just find a paper in one language and translate it to the other. Apparently doing something similar with Wikipedia articles will work too. My teacher shared with us a story about how, since she allowed eating during her tests, one person pulled out a giant bag of M&Ms and ate a specific color corresponding to ABCD. It was a 2-student duo and they only got caught when another student ratted them out. Edit. Grammar. What a snitch. But there are like 6 colors, aren't there? In elementary middle school we had to write a paragraph each week featuring all the vocabulary words included in that unit. One clever kid wrote something along these lines. One day kid's name had to write a paragraph for English class. He sat down, picked up a pen and used these words in it. Proceeds to list out all the words. The teacher only let it go once because she never saw that happen until then. You learn to write lists in your first year of English. Use your word count to show more advanced skills. If I had €1 for every time I needed to tell my Spanish students this. One of my old teachers told us a story about a student who had rigged up a tiny scroll of paper in a wristwatch with notes written on it. He turned the scroll by winding the watch. He ended up getting caught because he was winding his watch so damn much during the exam. But the teacher loved the creativity. That's some light Yagami shocks. That kid's a duck in genius, but he might murder 100,000 people. Edit. Wow, I got gold. First time. Thanks so much. Who the duck was he? Kira trying to kill L? If OP is a student crowdsourcing cheating strategies, then this is one of the most creative ways of cheating that I've seen. Either that or he's a teacher. He also specifically asked how they got caught. So OP is looking for good ideas and how they can go wrong. My exams that used a graphic calculator TI 84 required us to show the examiners a proof of reset screen before the papers started, so instead of actually studying for my papers, I painstakingly redrew the proof of reset screen pixel by pixel in the TI 84's pixel art program and stored all my notes in it. Our calculator had a storage feature too. Once you open the battery cover it turns off and on next start it shows the reset screen. We had to open the cover and let the teacher press OK to reset. No way of cheating here. Make a program with notes, archive it, and it will survive resets. Not a teacher, but I used to use one of those rectangular erasers because the pencils the teacher gave us were cheap and the erasers only smudged the marks. The eraser came in a cardboard sleeve and I ripped it open and would write test answers on it, then erase it after exams for reuse. I put notes in hollow eraser. I'm no longer Chinese. College physics. Girl with a really intricate tattoo on her leg wrote formulas in between the tattoo lines. Even looking closely you couldn't tell unless you knew what you were looking for. You could tell it was test day because she wore shorts. So then how do you find out? Reminds me of Prison Break. High school kids recreated a Snapple label where the nutrition panel on the back had all the answers, formulas, etc. Only got caught because I'd never seen the flavor before and wanted to see how much sugar was in it. I can imagine how worried they were when you inspected the bottle like, oh, how much sugar is in there? You're all failing. Everyone knows to cheat using peach Snapple. Idiots. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content. I can name the worst, and I've definitely shared it before, but it wasn't my student. It was a friend's. She'd downloaded a worksheet for the kids to do while she was in a meeting of some sort. Kids found the worksheet's answer sheet online and proceeded to copy the answers. Last answer said student responses will vary, and that's what one kid wrote as his answer. Other times you'll see one kid misspells something or gets an answer wrong, and everyone who copied from him has the same error. This happened to our entire group of CHEM students last year. Everyone in the classes were cheating on their homework because the answers were always online. In the second semester, someone made the mistake of writing answers may vary, and the teacher finally realized we were all cheating. This kind of happened to my buddy. Let's call him Jason. He was copying off of, let's call him Travis, paper. This was Spanish class. So the teacher got suspicious when Jason turned in a paper that had a sentence that said "Me llamo Travis." A classmate broke the screen and keyboard of his calculator and hid his cell phone in it, so it couldn't be seen from the teacher's position. The teacher approached him from behind and caught him though. Be right back bringing a calculator to a biology test. OMG. I teach math at community college and caught a student who did that exact thing. I'm not a teacher, but I was a student. I had a friend who knew Kurdish and Turkish. We all know Turkish OFC. Anyway, he had to move from his city due to earthquake and come to opposite side of the country, Istanbul. He was writing his notes in Kurdish on his desk and one desk in front of him. Since none of the teachers and us knew Kurdish, it was like gibberish to us, but we knew he was writing down notes in Kurdish. Not a teacher, but there's the famous urban legend. http://message Snopes comshowthread phpt equals 83,713 about how a Caltech student got a perfect score on a take-home exam. I realize the story is apocryphal, but the thing I'm most confused about is the detail that a take-home exam has a time limit. I get the honor system with regard to not cheating, but would they really expect someone to time themselves on a take-home exam? Double quote. I was grading a written assignment that had a 1,000 word count minimum, and one particular paper just felt really short to me despite Word telling me it was roughly 1,100 words long. On a hunch I hit Ctrl A, and sure enough, after the paper concluded there was a lot of white nonsense text on a white background. That's gotta be the dumbest form of lengthening a paper there is. If you email the document, one click foils the plan, and if you turn in a hard copy, the white text doesn't even count. If you are still a teacher, consider ditching the minimum word count assignments for maximum word counts. It will teach the students to be concise and stronger, more efficient writers. There was a class that allowed you to bring one sheet of handwritten notes to exams. I knew a guy that created a font of his own handwriting and used to print the entire study guide onto a piece of notebook paper, front and back. He even set the font color to pencil gray and managed to get the margins and spacing exactly right to look like it had been handwritten. Modern problems require modern solutions. That sounds like a lot more work than just writing notes on a piece of paper. Used a text file on one of the original iPods. Teacher was fine with listening to music during tests. Made my life so much easier, lol. You should have made your own math rap album. Seriously? Headphones are allowed? LOL. Teacher is just asking for students to cheat, LOL. Not a teacher, but one of my friends in high school wrote all the physics equations we needed to know in really tiny font on Jolly Rancher wrappers. It later turned out to be gonorrhea. Where the hell did all you people go to school where you were allowed to bring in candy and water bottles and Snapples and such into class? I had summaries of chemistry and a load of math formulas on my graphic calculator T83, and I had a backup on a thumb drive so that I could put it back after a mandatory reset. You can archive stuff right before a reset. The resets don't touch anything archived, then just unarchive during the test. Gonna use this. My girlfriend works for a dental exam company, which are obviously super high stakes exams. Since the exams are worldwide, they have actually found people from one time zone paying people from another time zone to email questions to them right before the exam starts. There's actually a movie with this same plot called Bad Genius, where a student takes a test in a different country that is a few hours ahead and texts the answers back to others that have the test in a few hours. This happened with the AP exams last year. I'm pretty sure there was a subreddit for it, and when College Board found out, they forced the PPL in the different time zone to stay in the class until the other time zone started. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content. Stretch a rubber band around a textbook. Write whatever you want on it, then when you take it off the textbook, it'll just look like scribble until you stretch it to see what's written. Spanish conjugations drove me to do some incredibly unethical things. How would you use those without looking suspicious? You could say it's a fidget thing, but it's risky. I'm waiting until marriage to conjugate. I had class in the AM with a kid who was a TA for my physics class the afternoon before. Weird period system at my old school. He would tell me the answers to app tests he had graded the day before, and I would write them in black ink on the side of the sole of my black boots. I would then sit with my leg bent with my foot on my knee and read the answers during the test. You couldn't see them unless the light hit the ink just right. After the test I would just lick my finger and smudge the answers out. Someone at my school had a Bible verse written in pen on her shoes like this during a test, and the teacher pulled her aside and had mistaken them for equations. A classmate was printing the answers on his paper in a very pale grey so that it barely can be seen. Still got caught because the teacher noticed him reading an empty sheet. Writing down math formulas and putting them in the instructions insert of the calculator. More recently, kids will put the answers on their smart watches. It's to the point where I make all students remove their watches and place them on the classroom counter before the test starts. In the UK in exams now, we can't wear smart watches and we have to prove that our watches don't have any way of helping us cheat in exams. This was super common in my old high school. I remember this buddy of mine bragging about it, and when they sat us down the proctor inspected the instruction inserts and confiscated the ones with the formulas. My buddy had a look of defeat the entire time we took that exam. Physics professor posted the answers to the homework online after it was due. Thing was, he was just making the existing pages visible and the URLs followed a simple and predictable format. If you knew the URL you could look at it before it was made public. http:// physics edu physics homework 001002003 etc. One of my professors had file names like this, but actually the next numbered one was a Word document that just said nice try in it. We found out my Econ 103 professor did this too, except when we typed the URL in, it led to Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up video. We got rickrolled. I teach kindergarten. They just blatantly copy off each other right in front of me and don't understand the concept of cheating. They think they are helping and that I am mean when I tell them not to. During a spelling test, Miss, how do you spell piano? The spelling word was piano. Teacher went on autopilot and started spelling the word. I got out in the spelling bee in 5th grade because I couldn't tell if they were saying ladder or latter, and apparently you can't ask is that with a D or with a T. I mean, not really cheating. As a student, I remember when my entire year level was accused of cheating, as the test results came back consistently high. What the teachers failed to realize was that some of the answers were actually hidden in other questions. So if you got stuck on one question, you could find the answer later on in another question. An example would be, this was a Japanese language test, what does word mean? And later on, a question would use that word in context, so you would understand what that word meant. This sounds a lot like the test they take in the beginning of the Mysterious Benedict Society. It's a cool book I recommend. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, haha, that's def a good test taking strategy. Printing a fake water bottle label with test information on it. Back in mid-2000, schools here in Australia started to have strict guidelines on what could be brought into exams. Water was allowed, but must be kept in a non-labeled bottle. If you bought water, you have to rip off the label. They make a massive deal out of that in the UK. You have to remove any label on your water bottle and keep it on the floor when you're not drinking it. You're also not allowed to have a pencil case which isn't see-through. Not a teacher, but I used to lightly write the answers on a desk before the test with pencil. If someone calls you out on it before the test, then you claim that you using the write the material down method of studying and didn't notice that it was marking the desk. After using the necessary material, you just rubbed the pencil marks off of the desk, thus destroying the evidence. I do this a lot too. Spanish class is the only class I just straight up cheated in. Works with fingernails. 2. If you can abbreviate things to initials, say, states and capitals, nearly invisible to other people, and once you've used the info, you can idly rub it off with another finger on the same hand. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content. My sister-in-law is a teaching assistant at her kid's school. Her youngest daughter, my niece, was 7 at the time. She stole the test the night before, pretended it was homework and had her mom help her with her homework, then sneaked the answers into the test. One of the other kids caught her, let the teacher know, and my sil, who was overseeing test conditions, died inside when she realized it was the homework sheet that she'd filled out. Your poor sister-in-law. That's got to be so embarrassing. My mum was a teaching assistant and I would never dare to do anything like that. I'd probably be grounded for a year and yelled at for eternity. The fact that a 7-year-old feels the need to cheat on a test is, I think, the worst of it all. I'm not a teacher, but I heard a story from my friend of a teacher who caught 2 kids cheating through Morse code by blinking. This is, I imagine, probably one of the easiest and best ways of cheating. Asking teachers what the best ideas are. Slick move OP. Double quote. The best ones are the ones that the teachers didn't notice. But if you cheat perfectly, the teachers would never know. I used my programmable calculator to write a program for every possible math physics question that gave me every step of the problem solving sequence along the way. They always said show your work. Yeah, that's pretty common. Some teachers have started to crack down on fancy calcs. In high school this would have worked for me, but in college it doesn't fly because every class I've been in requires us to use an FAA approved calculator, which limits us to some basic scientific calculators. When I was in high school I bought a pen, like this one, https://a01, Alecton, COM KFHTB1TSRMM6ISKJJY0FLQ6ADXXR0/free logo 1000 PCS slot custom logo promo advertising branded business personalized Windows ball pens wholesale, JPG, where each time you clicked the message inside would change. I took it apart and was able to tape paper over the tube and fit things that I would need to help me on some quizzes and tests. LOL. How is it made for anything except cheating? I had a pen like this once, but I took it apart to see what was inside and quickly destroyed it. As a student, we used to wear uniforms and leather shoes. As mine's a beta pair, I usually write on them with black ink pens, and when tests came, I angled it just enough to be seen by sunlight. Also, the edges of our uniform, button-down shirts, are filled with formulas. I found some Vans left at my football field with formulas on the sides of them for math last year. I used to tape a cheat sheet to the underside of my shirt flap and untuck my shirt so I could flip it over and see all the answers. This is slightly off topic, but I had an AP physics teacher who put a question that we hadn't learned on our first quiz just to prove a point. All of the first period got the question wrong. Half of second period got it right. All of third period got it right. His point was proven. That point that tests in the morning are unfair. Wait, what is this proving? Did first period kids warn the other periods? Double quote. We had long skirts at my school, ankle length, and, apparently, girls used to write the answers to questions on their thighs so that they could read them in the toilet during an exam. Every single teacher I've ever had never allows us to use the restroom during an exam. Music students using music sheets as answer sheet for from other student. Notes equals the same as the answer for Scranton tests. The Electric City, or perfect pitch students humming the notes as the answers. Teacher told me a story from US history when he used to let students listen to music. They were being tested on the US presidents. One kid was listening to music when his audio cord came out of his phone and his phone started blaring a sound clip of the student listing all the presidents in order. Music was no longer allowed, but he got to try again without music because of his creativity. What's crazy is that my world studies teacher told me this exact story for a former US history student. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content.